Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the M2 iPad Pro that just came out and compare it against the M1 iPad Pro that just came out and see which specific one you should go and pick up. Now, if you have all the money in the world and if you're in that situation, then obviously the M2 iPad Pro, the latest generation, is definitely going to be the better one for you. I think this one has it all, definitely go for it. But if you don't mind and if you want to save a little bit more money, going for the M1 iPad Pro that came out last year, I think is still a really good option as well. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these iPads, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, I will say I have a lot of things to say about these two iPads, but the first thing is they have a ton of overlap. So realistically speaking, I would not go from an M1 iPad Pro to an M2 iPad Pro. And in fact, if you can get the M1 iPad Pro for a deeper discount in the used market, or even like the certified refurbished market from Apple or whatever, I would rather go that direction than go for the M2 iPad Pro, because there is such little differences between these that I would just recommend going that direction. Now, the main similarity, first of all, they have the same type of design, they have the same type of screen for the most part, and they have the same type of, specifications you can choose from, meaning you can get an either 11-inch display or you can get that 12.9-inch display as well, which I think that 12.9-inch model, was really nice, and I love having an iPad Pro at that caliber. But in this specific situation, you're realistically going to be getting kind of the same type of display, and there's not really that big of a difference here at all with the front. So like I said, you either get the 11-inch Liquid Retina display with ProMotion and True Tone, or you get that 12.9-inch model with a way better display than that 11-inch model. So, in fact, you should probably be asking yourself, do you want the iPad Pro with the 11-inch display or that 12.9-inch display? Because that is a bigger difference than, an M1 iPad Pro and an M2 iPad Pro in my personal opinion. And they both have USB-C ports on the bottom, and they both support Thunderbolt, 4, which is awesome. So you can connect any Thunderbolt 4 accessories, you can go and connect it to an external display and utilize a different display than your iPad, which is really cool. So personally, I love that, and I love seeing that with this type of, iPad. And on the back, there's pretty much the same type of design as well. There's really not anything super crazy or different between them. You have the silver, so you have a silver, and you have the space gray options you can choose from in color. So I think that's really, really cool. And you do have that dual camera setup on the top left corner. So I think, again, there's a lot of similarity if you kind of look at them. If you handed me an M2 iPad Pro and you handed me an M1 iPad Pro, I genuinely don't think I could tell the difference until I probably turn it on and maybe I could see something that stood out to me. Oh, like this is the older one. Otherwise, they are almost identically the same on the outside. In fact, you could probably argue that the iPad Pro 11-inch second generation probably looks almost identically like this as well. But I guess the displays are a little bit better here. Now, speaking about the camera, like I said, there's such little differences here as well. So they are both 12 megapixel wide angle cameras and 10 megapixel wide angle cameras or ultra wide cameras on that specific standpoint. On the front, they also have the same type of camera as well. 12 megapixel true depth camera systems with the ultra wide, camera. Now, personally, I think this type of camera is great. It is pretty much almost in line with something like the iPhone 11. And we could argue that the M2 chip inside of the newer iPad, maybe it is a little bit more optimized. Maybe it's a little bit better. Maybe it, enhances the photos and videos a little bit more. But you have to ask yourself, how often are you using the camera on your iPad? And then you have to ask yourself, well, what iPhone or, Android phone or whatever do you have right now? Is that camera better than this iPad? Is that camera better than an iPhone 11 camera? If you have an iPhone 11 camera or newer, you are pretty much good. That is a better camera than this one. So there really isn't any point of picking up, one iPad over the other here and focusing on the cameras, because the phone in your pocket is probably having a better camera than this thing. Now, the front cameras here are a little bit better, I would say, than a lot of other phones. So that ultra wide camera is really nice, because if you're in, video conferences, if you're doing FaceTime calls, you have that center stage feature, which kind of will follow you around, which I think is really cool. So that is something that pretty much stands out to me more than anything else. And I love that type of feature, which is so awesome. So I'll say in the camera department, pretty much the same exact thing. There's pretty much no difference here at all. Now, in terms of software and longevity, which one is going to last longer? Well, theoretically speaking, the M2 iPad Pro is probably going to last longer. Maybe I don't even know how long it's going to last compared to the M1 iPad Pro. None of the M1 iPad Pros or M1 devices have been unsupported with software yet. If I had to assume, I'd probably say this thing is probably going to end off with the M1 iPad Pro, probably in like 4 years, 5 years from now. Maybe it could last longer, maybe it'll last 10 years, who knows? Since Apple develops that chipset pretty much front to back, They want to showcase to everybody, hey, we care about our chipsets and we are here to stay, and we don't want to just do what, some other manufacturers have done. Even with Intel, they want to go ahead and show like, hey, instead of choosing an Intel PC, choose one of our, Apple Silicon PCs, and you're definitely going to be getting a way better performing machine, and it's going to last longer too. So that's kind of my opinion on this. But as I've said before, the day the iPad Pro gets an update for the, M2 iPad is the same day the M1 iPad Pro is also going to be getting an update. It's not like, until these things are unsupported, they're going to be lasting, pretty much hand in hand, and they're going to be getting probably the same amount of features as well. Now, I could see Apple going through and changing some things up and giving the M2 iPad Pro certain features over the M1 iPad Pro, but still, I think for a majority of users out there, you're going to be perfectly fine with how long these iPads are going to last. Now, in the performance segment, this is probably also one of the smallest differences I would also want to throw in here. So again, with the M1 iPad Pro, you have that M1 chipset inside. So this one has 8 cores CPU with 4 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores and an 8-core GPU, and you can choose between 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now that is for the base configuration for the 11-inch model. With the M2 iPad, you are getting, again, 8-core CPU with 4 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, but now you're getting a jump from the 8-core GPU to a 10-core GPU. So that is kind of a, pretty cool improvement, I would say. How many people are going to need that? I guess we're going to talk about it, but, that is pretty much a main difference here and the main selling point. But you also get that 100 gigabytes memory bandwidth. So if you're into that kind of stuff, then you have that capability here too. And you have the same type of RAM configuration, so 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now, in my opinion, the M1 iPad Pro was a great performing iPad. I had a great time with it, and I think it really was pretty much almost like a MacBook. Like it felt almost like my M1 MacBook Pro that I had at the time, and I think it was awesome, Was it extremely fast? Yes, of course, that display was really nice, the performance was really, really good, and I didn't really have too many things to complain about there. I will never probably be able to use all the performance that's within these types of iPads. If I had to, I could use an iPad 9 and that would still be perfectly fine, and I could probably use an iPad 6 and be perfectly fine with that. So that is at the level that I'm at, but if you're somebody who's going through and you're wanting to go through and, do such crazy things, you want to play such heavy intensive games, you want to do your schoolwork, you want to do your note editing, you want to maybe code some stuff and you want to edit your videos at night and, all this other stuff, well, you can definitely do that with this machine. But the M2 iPad Pro definitely takes that up a little bit of a notch. So you're going to be getting, I guess, a more performance heavy machine. So that is the best way to describe it. Because of those extra 2 cores of GPU, you'll be able to do those specific tasks maybe a little bit faster. If you want to play some heavy intensive games, or you want to edit some really, heavy intensive videos, well, you'll be able to do those more efficiently and more faster. But the difference, I don't think is going to be that crazy to justify, I guess, going from an M1 iPad Pro to an M2 iPad Pro. In my opinion, I don't think most people will max out an M1 iPad Pro, so there's not really a massive reason to go to the M2 one in my opinion. So that kind of covers up that. There's also some more similarities. You can get up to 2 terabytes of storage between them. They both work with the Apple Pencil 2, and they both work with the same type of accessories with the Magic Keyboard and the Smart Keyboard Folio case. So, as I mentioned, there is a ton of overlap, but I don't necessarily think, like I said, the M2 iPad Pro is a waste of money. I just think that if you currently own the M1 iPad Pro, I would just recommend keeping it, and there's not really a massive reason to go to the M2 iPad Pro unless you have all the money in the world and you're just trying to spend it, and or you're just trying to go ahead and, I guess, get the latest generation of whatever the product's out. So, in terms of that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.